Hey. Good morning.
Morning to you, Mike.
How are you?
Welcome to the Tactical Support Studios, Blue Room Podcast. Today's sports beat with Freed and Fredericks. Mike, how's your day?
I'm doing good. It was raining out this morning. And
what are you going to do?
how was your trip?
Rainy. There was a lovely accident on the way down to the scenic Phillipsburg, and I got hit with a piece of debris on my car. I was worried that the damage was done, but fortunately I survived for another day.
Oh, good.
Good stuff. So what's going on? What's new with you?
Same old, nothing much. As I told you, had a good bill of health.
I like hearing that. I like to see that. Glad you're feeling well.
Yeah.
Without getting specific, every 3 months now, no longer a monthly thing.
Right. No more monthly.
Excellent. My tale is as exciting as yours. I'm simply growing a beard. Let's see how it goes. I'll let you know in a couple of weeks whether I'm annoyed with it. But here we are.
Looking sexy.
Oh, I'm bringing sexy back one day at a time. But so the world of sports is percolating and circulating.
Oh, wait. Happy Flag Day. Happy birthday to our Army, 250 years.
Happy birthday, President Trump! Isn't that what they're saying? The big parade.
I know that's apparently what they're. I don't know.
Can you explain to me what this No Kings is? What is that? Do you know? Do you know what this No Kings thing is? No.
I think it's something where he said he wants to be king or bring it back or
is that what
bring something like that. But
I'm not sure. This is the first time hearing it, to be honest.
Supposed to be like protests all over the place today. Well, when is there not a protest when Trump's in office? But I was trying to figure it out. I mean, not sports related, but I was like trying to look for it. But it seems like it's all run from one side of the political aisle.
Right.
That's what seems to be going on. But I guess we'll find out today. Maybe we're inside baseball. We were talking about this prior to being on the air. It's interesting to see, the rain, maybe that'll quell because, as we said, protesters like, nice Bermuda weather, 82 degrees off the ocean with a pina colada to protest and throw rocks. But, we'll see where it goes. God bless all my friends that are still working and all the people that had to be part of it, including Mo, who had to handle something last night.
Yes.
So maybe he'll be here later with banter, but
hopefully everyone will be safe this weekend. So.
Yes, because, they've gotten it. Some of the people have gotten a tad more violent. I'm not happy with the direction it's going. I'm all about protest. I get angry too. To date myself, no Roger, no rerun, no rent. If you know what that is, then you're part of my club. But
and in your honor too, I'm wearing the USA
yes
soccer jersey.
The CONCACAF.
We have the World Cup coming up.
The CONCACAF starts today, and there's a Club Nations League thing going on. I follow Alexi Lalas on X, and he's an interesting bundle. He's got interesting takes on things, but very pro-US, very pro-soccer, as am I. But it's just, me, I talked about Liverpool, and they finally raised the trophy and all these wonderful things that go on in the Premier League and in Europe. We just don't have, we should have, but we don't have the same level of engagement for our team with the amount of people in this, because what ends up happening, I don't know, I learned this recently, is what ends up happening is these bigger leagues, doesn't matter where, it could be La Liga, could be Bundesliga, could be English Premier League, could be anything. They grab these kids at 7-8 years old, and they bring them into their club, and all they do is train. But they're good because like every other major sport, there's only a certain amount of spots that people are going to make the top tier, but they take care of these kids. They pay for their education. They pay for all their food and housing as long as they're part of the system. And I actually had it's slipping me now, but I had a friend whose son was in that for a while, and you could see how it goes. And we just don't have that here. And I wish there was more interest, it's funny because if I just get away from the politics, we should be cheering the women's team because they kick butt almost every time in the World Cup and in the Olympics. But I just can't get past that. I just get past how they whine so much about stuff that has nothing to do with the sport. I'd rather just celebrate them. But that's how it goes.
Although with you can kind of say that with baseball, but the Dominican Republic, the countries like that, Dominican Republic, where they start where the kids aren't with the parents anymore. They're always with some some group.
Right. Well, that's I'm half and half on that, because I mean, we could dive into another topic with this just for a moment. That whole, like, when I was a kid, I wasn't very good, just to throw that out there. I was average at best. My friends will let you know that. But I was pretty good at baseball, football, middling. But I played different sports, all year round. And it was fun. And I don't knock parents today, but like, you got a kid who plays, like, say, baseball, and he plays on the school team. Then he plays on a travel team. Then he plays on a club team. And it's like endless year round. And
it's all year.
And my conspiracy theory is that that's why all these pitchers burn their arms out.
Right.
They get hurt all the time. One, because they work out all the time, and two, because you're constantly throwing. So whereas a kid back at, like, if you look at, like, pitchers back in the 70s, they look like they just got back from the bar, and went out there and started throwing the baseball, But now, like, they're all like, it's total conditioning diet all the time. It's great fun. I love baseball. It's one of my favorite sports. But I just wonder, like, are we burning people out, and, like, bringing back to that whole idea of what the Premier League does? Like, these kids live soccer for 18, 20 years, but, and they may never make it to the top league. But I'm wondering if that burns people out too. I
don't think you could. Soccer, you're really you're using your legs, but also with the. I know a couple of years ago they were doing the study with the not PTSD,
the head injuries,
for the with the kids always doing the headers with the concussions.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the right or wrong answer is. I'm just saying that, like, I observe it, and it's like, sports to me was always a fun thing. And look, I'm not naive. I mean, politics and sports goes, back forever. I mean, I don't have to go that far to remember the Mexico City Olympics with the black glove protest, and when they won the gold and the silver.
Right.
Their names are slipping me right now, but I remember that. Muhammad Ali taking, whether you agreed with him or not, a moral stand on the Vietnam War. Numerous basketball players being involved in the civil rights movement, baseball integrated. We can go on and on, but it just seems that, like, now it's not, to me anyway, it's not the same. It's what am I trying to think about? It's almost like they're doing it for themselves. So kind of like where I really appreciated Simone Biles, for example, right? And her athleticism and her ability to dominate in women's sports, even if we're going to forget 2020 where she backed out. Just medaled everywhere and a phenomenal athlete. Why on earth, out of the blue, would you put yourself in the transgender and female sports argument and basically destroy your own brand? She destroyed herself.
Well, I guess we're starting with, one question before. Do you hear anything in the background?
I do. That's what I was trying to figure out. You don't have any devices that are playing, do you?
Me.
No.
Okay, figured it out.
Well, I know. We have the picture, something with Simone, right? I believe. I can't see myself.
I'm sure they do, but go on with what you're saying about Simone.
Oh, no, that's what I was bringing up about. Well, I guess I can't see it.
She's reading it. It's basically her tweets. Her tweets and her statements about the fact that, we're basically all racist and sexist, homophobes if we don't allow men into women's sports. And there was the whole Riley Gaines argument.
Where she commented. I don't know.
And she called him a man.
Right.
Like 5'5", you're more in line with a man. And it was going back and forth. And so, like, the whole idea of, like, look, I think we're all just too soft. I'm just going to be fair. But, body shaming, because of what Riley Gaines looked like. They love saying that she finished in 5th place. And I don't understand for the life of me. Like, this woman.
She dealt with the, the sexual abuse
of Larry Nassar.
Right.
And I'm sitting here like, and you talk about all this stuff before, and now all of a sudden this is what you're doing. I mean, I have a cynical view. I really do. The cynical view that I have is female, unlike say a female basketball player, they can transition into like the booth. You can become coaches. There's something for you post your career. There is. Female gymnasts, other than Nadia Comaneci, who was the last 10, and maybe Mary Lou Retton, who got locked up for DWI a couple of weeks ago. But who do you know? Like they disappear into the ether. So was she trying to create a social media presence, like a cause celeb for her now to push her forward? Because basically the idea of the influence that she had and who she is done. What do you think about that?
Could be. Or, well, that's a strange thing too, because she's planning to be in the next Summer Olympics in LA.
So she should compete against men?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
I just
and I couldn't find it. There were I saw something and I meant to bookmark it. Where they had, I don't know if it was gymnastics or something else, where they had separate category for trans.
They should.
I forgot which, and I think it was gymnastics, or I just can't remember.
I have zero problem with a separate category for the transgender. All right, that's how you should compete against them. No problem. And I get into arguments from time to time. I'm shocked. I know you're shocked to hear this, that I get in arguments from time to time, but I go, how come it's never women transitioning to men competing in men's sports and wanting to do that? It's always men transitioning to women that want to be in women's sports, and they dominate. And I know we're shocked to hear that men are stronger than women. Sorry, ladies, it's just how it works. But sorry, biology worked that way. We'll work on it the next time when the Earth blows up. Maybe we can do it the other way. But it's just baffling to me. Like, it's the only thing I could come up with Simone. It's really all it was. And then, like, now the backtrack is worse than what she was doing in the beginning. She didn't have the courage of her convictions. The second my guess is the second all the advertisers went away, because the Me Too movement has run its course. This whole inclusivity is a bad way to put it, but that's run its course a bit.
Well, that was the whole thing. All these, what was it, when Trump came into office the first time? That's when they start wearing the pink hats, saying, "Oh yeah, we're for the women, men, this, no that." And how come
you do realize why Trump, with E. Jean Carroll, why New York redid the laws for 1 year so they could go after Trump, and Weinstein got hooked up in it as well, because now women could bring up 20, 30-year-old allegations that maybe you had proof, maybe you didn't. I'm not going to relitigate anything now,
right?
And I won't give you my personal opinion of E. Jean. Well, actually, I will. She's a nut, and no one should have listened to her. Her story's told bullshit. But whatever, what are you going to do? But the idea of that movement, and getting back to Simone, is like you nuked your entire fan base. You nuked your I think what the backtrack was I don't think she had a come to Jesus moment. I think her advertisers and the people that were supporting her financially went away. I think they all ran for the hills, and her lawyer. If you saw the text she wrote, you saw the back and forth with text. Look at how old I am. The ex-post that she wrote, and you saw the back and forth with Riley. That was vitriol. She was laughing at her. She was having fun with it. And then a week later, you get this PR crisis management post that she clearly didn't write, and she was told to shut up, and she's disappeared into the woodwork now. So I guess the broader issue of, I don't agree with men and women's sports. Sorry, everybody. I don't agree with men and women's spaces, men and women's locker rooms. I am not the person that's going to tell you how you should live your life. You can live your life as you see fit, as long as you're an adult. Be free. You want me, yesterday you were Steve, and today you want me to call you Mary, I will call you Mary. I have no problem with that. You go wherever you need to go. But there are certain areas where, unfortunately, you don't belong. And I don't see anything, especially in women's sports.
Guys, we have a call coming in.
Okay.
Hello, you're live.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Simone Biles. The thing that frustrates me with her was I was actually in the camp of people that supported her. You know, brought up when she backed out of, what was it? Was it the Olympics or was it just
the Olympics?
2020 Olympics.
Yeah,
Due to mental
yeah. I was actually in the
tiredness.
camp of people that supported her by saying, listen, she's prioritizing her mental health over, a gold medal, which, like you guys were saying, she dominated gymnastics. And yeah, for her to just completely, like you said, she nuked her family, she nuked her reputation, she nuked everything. And for what? It's baffling to me. Any female athlete, especially one at the top of their game, at the top of their field, wanting to compete against men is just, it's insanity. More insane than this No Kings bullshit. I just passed, by the way, my first No Kings protest in Bridgewater, New Jersey. They are standing in the pouring rain along the side of Route 22 like a bunch of fucking morons.
There goes my theory that they don't
upside down flags and, anti-Trump shit. It's so... Anybody believing that all of this, these organized protests have anything to do with Donald Trump, you're crazy. This is all about division. This is all about separating the country on every demographic that they can possibly think of. I say it on pretty much any one of the shows that we do that, something happened in 24 and it scared the shit out of the Democrats. The Democrats, haven't been this mad since the Republicans took their slaves away. I mean, they see that people came together in ways that they have not certainly not in our adult lifetime. Trump was up in numbers, where Republicans were never up in. So the Democrats are going back to their playbook. They're going back to their division.
For me, I haven't seen it since Reagan. Like, I remember how it was with Ronald Reagan, and coming out of Carter years, talking sports again, we boycotted those Olympics because of Iran. And coming out of the Carter years, the amount of people, I mean, he won 49 states. He allowed Walter Mondale to win Minnesota. But I haven't seen that kind of coalition since then. Even with Obama, even with Clinton, who, controversial opinion. I didn't mind Bill Clinton. I don't care who he sleeps with. Effective president.
Neither did I.
But,
he was all right.
But so, flowing back to what you were talking about with Simone Biles, we were talking, I don't know if you heard earlier, we were talking about the fact that I think she's trying to carve a lane somewhere because basically her fame and career are over when she no longer can compete in the Olympics. Where do you go as a female gymnast? There's really nowhere else to go. And so, and you're only really relevant every 4 years, and the Summer Olympics. That's when people care about these things. And then we all go back to our comfortable little hives. So, but for me, like, just, and how I never got an indication she felt that way about transgenders in sports, or transgender specifically in the women's arena, because we were talking before, there's no women transitioning to men that are in men's sports. They don't exist. But the whole idea is, I'm just wondering why, like from where did this come from? Like what is this? And that's kind of what me and Mike were discussing earlier.
I don't know. Could it be something now with the WNBA? I
never saw her as I've never seen her pushing with the WNBA. The WNBA is a different beast altogether.
Right.
They're nuking themselves. Yes. They have a marketable person in Caitlin Clark.
What is that? Is that a golf team? The WNBA?
Exactly. Yes. That's a cricket tournament they do every year out in Queens. Right. But but the whole idea is that, like, the WNBA is nuking themselves for another reason. They had a marketable asset in Caitlin Clark, and people were watching the sport. like for the first time ever.
Yes.
Right.
And it just seems like there's a
Highest ratings, and as soon as Caitlin Clark is injured, ratings dropped.
But the whole idea is that for me is that just as an organization, like the women are complaining they don't get paid enough money, well, you have to bring an audience in. So now you're bringing an audience in. There's interest, and the amount of players in the WNBA that basically shot themselves in the foot to get rid of this woman. And she's basically genuflected every day towards these, like all these other athletes that
Right.
play. I mean, you know.
Is she trying to get more of the LGBTQ community? Because, you know, at WNBA,
there's that
Yeah,
allegation that most of them are lesbians.
lesbian.
Mike, are you saying that only lesbians watch the WNBA?
No.
You're probably right. Mike, I think that's what you said.
That's what I heard.
Okay.
It's on the internet, so it's forever now.
Well, and then the same thing,
Yeah.
they would say the same thing with gymnastics on the men's side, but you know.
I thought more ice skating, but that would be my little thing. But
But yeah, I'll let you close with on a Simone Biles thing. I just will say I think John, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think she's carving out a niche for herself as the nemesis to Riley Gaines. I think she wants to be the polar opposite voice and have the same kind of platform that Riley Gaines has, just on the other side, because you're 100% right. I mean, if not for that right now, what relevance does she really have other than, you know, if she does come back for the 26, when is it? 26, 28? When are the Olympics? 26?
26, I
Yes,
believe.
this year.
Yes.
Coming
Yep.
up.
But it's just like I don't know her personally. She doesn't seem like a dumb woman. Like, you didn't read the room on how people are feeling about this now, and this is your beachhead. This is your Normandy. You want to come off on?
Right.
I don't.
It was
I don't get it.
kind of going back to the direction
Right.
that it should be, and then she's starting. I don't know.
And she could have been the poster child for mental health. I mean, she could have come back and said, you know, her story would have been inspirational to, I mean, it still should be. You don't want to take away from that, but her story could have been her legacy, that she walked away from the Olympics at the peak of her athleticism. You know, in her prime, she walked away favoring, you know, choosing herself over fame, choosing her mental health over a gold medal, and then worked her way back. That could have been her legacy.
Correct.
Now she's just a fucking trans activist retard. So I'll leave it at that.
I mean,
I'll see you guys in a little bit.
we-
Thanks for turning your phone off, John.
Thank you.
Next time, you know, don't hold back. It's better when you don't hold back, Mo. It makes for better pod.
Later.
But yeah, I mean, it's America, and we are a forgiving people.
Opportunity, yes.
Even OJ got back on X and had an Instagram and had a fan base, being a double murderer. So if he can make his way back, I guess
She
anybody
can make her
can.
way back too. Yeah.
Yeah,
eventually.
so it's interesting stuff.
I also have that video if you want me to play that real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
I am
Yeah.
also a survivor of sexual abuse, and I believe without a doubt that the circumstances that led to my abuse and allowed it to continue are directly the result of the fact that the organizations created by Congress to oversee and protect me as an athlete, USA Gymnastics and the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, failed to do their jobs. I don't want another young gymnast, Olympic athlete, or any individual to experience the horror that I and hundreds of others have endured before, during, and continuing to this day in the wake of the Larry Nassar abuse. To be clear,
Take your time.
To be clear, I blame Larry Nassar, and I also blame an entire system that enabled and perpetrated his abuse.
Amazing, isn't it? How we do a 180. You're allowing men into your spaces. You're allowing men to do things.
Correct.
And that was you. So it's unreal. And like I said, I told you I can't figure it out. I don't know. That's where we're at. You know, on to lighter things. Mets, baby.
Well, actually,
Mets, baby.
Matt, do you want to go?
Yeah.
I was going to do unless you want to do that.
Yeah,
Let's
do it.
see.
Come on now. We're the best record in baseball.
Well, this week was I know we're Mets fans, but
Yeah.
you know, when it comes to Yankees, you want to pay respect. You know, was the death of the anniversary,
Thurman Munson.
Thurman Munson,
Yeah.
his death.
I was in Cape Cod when that happened. Yeah, I remember that plane crash. It's
Yes.
tragic.
He died while practicing landings.
Yes, I guess. Never mind. I had a joke.
Even though I'm a Met fan, I'm a big Tom Seaver. Seaver. It was all
franchise.
For me. It was always Tom Seaver and Thurman Munson.
It was. So the first baseball games I went to were Yankee games, like school outings back in the day when you used to. Well, so I laugh about it. I was telling somebody a couple weeks ago that the Mets and the Yankees used to have every Wednesday. I forget which one of them was Coke and the other one was Pepsi, and you brought a can with you. You brought a can of Coke or a can of Pepsi with you, and you got a free ticket. So you bought a ticket, you got a free ticket. Imagine today. Just bringing a soda? And even getting a nosebleeder seat somewhere. Not a chance anymore. But yeah, I remember those Yankee teams. And it's funny how, I guess we'll do Yankees for a moment, how politically correct we are today. And how we all play nice in the sandbox. I mean, Billy Martin would show up at the stadium drunk. And he would have brawl, knock them out fights in the dugouts with the players. Reggie Jackson and Craig Nellis hated each other. They were fighting all the time.
The big incident in Boston.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember those teams. I remember those Yankee teams and how good they were. Mr. October and all. But with Thurman Munson, they had a must have been on Yes, but every once in a while they have that tribute. It's about an hour long
show.
Yeah. And they show the whole lead up and then, leaving the glove at home plate and the whole crowd. And you could still remember that. I was a kid, but I could still remember that visceral feeling about he's gone, and what it meant to the Yankee fans and everything, and so.
But to die, he died at 32. He would have been 73.
Mm-hmm. I wonder because I remember he was, if I'm remembering right, he was getting hurt a lot by that point.
That's
it. Wasn't so. I'm wondering how many more seasons he would have had, or would he have kept the same numbers because he's working on Hall of Fame numbers.
Yeah.
But he didn't get there obviously, but he was working on them. But
he was Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
302 average. He was named captain. I consider him really the only captain of the Yankees.
Derek Jeter did all right. Okay with that.
Because in the same year, 1976, he was named captain. He was named MVP. He was first player in baseball history to be named the college baseball All-American and then win Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Was MVP, Gold Gloves,
how many World Series did they win with him? 2 or 3?
There were 70. I think
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
I don't know. I don't remember if he won 3. I know he won at least 2, but it's a tragedy. Any life lost is a tragedy, but I mean, just the visceral reaction that the country had. Didn't Elvis die in the same summer? Didn't he die the same year? Don't remember. All right, I'll come back to that. I'll have to look that up. I should have done my research on Elvis first.
That's all right.
But the king lives. He always does. But so
because it was always the three catchers that I considered at that time were Munson, Johnny Bench,
mm-hmm.
and Yastrzemski.
Yastrzemski was an outfielder.
Not Yastrzemski. Fisk. Carlton Fisk.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, willing the ball past the left field pole.
Those were the 3, and the top one, everyone is Johnny Bench. Then who would you put next? Fisk or Munson?
Out of those 3, well, Fisk had the longer career. That's the way you got to do it. Thurman Munson was an excellent player, but he's a Yankee creation. You know what I mean? That's why his numbers retired in Yankee Stadium. The other 2 are is Fisk in the Hall of Fame? I'm not sure yet, but I Bench definitely is. And so
no, and Munson's in the Hall of Fame.
Is he?
Yes.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
With those numbers? You sure about that?
Yeah.
Thurman Munson,
yeah.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. But the whole idea of I think when we talk about players who represent something, how about that? And Thurman Munson, even though he's not. That's what I was going to say. Thurman Munson, although there were a lot of great players on those teams, I mean, that was a juggernaut for the Yankees in the 70s. like Mr. October alone, but the idea of what he represented for New York, I think, was more important, and how he comported himself.
Right.
And just the way he played the game was, I think, what mattered more. And he rightfully has that place, whether he had died or not. I think he would have had that same place in Yankee history and Yankee lore had he been alive or not. His death, while tragic, I just think enhanced who he was.
I was going to bring this up later since we're talking. Was he a main figure like a Judge?
No.
A Lindor?
No.
Because
I don't have a big excitement for captains in pro sports. You're grown men. You should play. You don't need a captain.
Well, not
tell you what to do.
For MVP of your team, MVP of was going to bring this up later, but I guess we might as well bring it up now.
Right.
Where, from what I actually from right now, what I see, Judge clearly should all right. The past two games, the night before, well, last night they lost 2-1 in the extra innings.
Right.
The night before they won 1-0.
Right.
Judge was out of the he didn't play that game. So from those two nights, from last night and the night before, they only had 9 hits, 2 runs.
You're looking at
Judge, which it brings me to the argument also of Lindor. Lindor should have won that MVP over Ohtani. Ohtani is surrounded by all those main players.
I don't have a
Judge
problem.
and Lindor. To me, this is proving Judge is the most valuable to the team, which is making.
I don't have a problem with Ohtani winning the MVP. He's a generational talent. The man pitches and plays the field.
But he didn't pitch last year.
That's okay, but he's still monster bats. Lindor, everyone says, he's only batting like in the 270s. Well, that's what he bats.
Right.
I'm more interested in. I don't really care if you bat 400. When are you batting 400? If you're bombing home runs,
but it was his contribution that
I agree
made him more valuable.
I think as long as Judge can stay on the field, we're looking at a once in a generation talent. But if he gets he's been hurt a couple of times because that monster swing, I don't know how he doesn't break his rib cage every time he swings the bat. It's a monster swing. But watching him play, like you're looking at a once in a generation talent, like a legitimate player. And so it's, like I said, I can appreciate when other teams have players that excel to that level. Like I'm enjoying Max Fried right now. Like as long as he stays
healthy
for the Yankees. I mean, it's amazing that okay, Kodai Senga has a better earned run average and his pitching. Well, he got hurt. He'll be back in a couple of days, but Alonso has to learn how to lob a ball to first base. But I mean, it's just watching him pitch, in the big. Say what you want about every other league or every other stadium. New York is the biggest market. And within New York, even though I'm a Mets fan, it is Yankee Stadium. That is the pressure cooker. That is the place. And if you can excel there, that's saying something, because the New York media is relentless. And most of the New York media is Yankee fans. So they're mostly critical of the Yankees. And so if you excel there, like the way Judge does, the way Fried is doing right now, the way some of the other players are right now coming into their own, that's impressive. That's an impressive thing to be. That's an impressive place to be. I enjoy watching Aaron Judge. I enjoy watching him play. It looks like he genuinely has a good time. I don't know the man personally. I've never met him, but he seems like a guy you'd want to know. It seems like a guy that just is out there. He knows what he has to do. He comes to work every day and he enjoys what he does. Kind of like Lindor.
Right.
I think Lindor is basically Aaron Judge on the Mets.
Right.
And he just enjoys playing the game, and it shows in the field.
Jeter, I think, was, as we know, enjoyed playing the field, but
both fields.
Well, but was more, Judge, I would say Judge is quiet, but not as quiet as Jeter.
Well, Jeter was if you want the truth, I think is I always like to call them true Yankees, though they become a Yankee and whatnot. I think Jeter was a true Yankee. Like he understood where he was. I'm not saying Judge isn't, okay, but what I'm saying is Judge comes at it from a different way, and it doesn't seem like it's the way Jeter carried himself. But then again,
Judge does it also.
So no, I can tell you the difference. So inside baseball, I used to work in the 44th precinct. So that's Yankee Stadium.
Right.
So we used to do Yankee games from time to time. And at the end of it, we would post outside where the players would walk out. Now, this is just a sample. Okay. So I am not attributing their whole lives to what was going on, and the pressure on Jeter and how he had to live his life. I understand is might be different from Aaron Judge, although there was an article in the paper a couple of days ago about how when Judge is away, he stays in the hotel room the whole time because he can't go outside. But I would watch Jeter walk out, and if it wasn't totally scripted to go meet somebody, like he had to go talk to this person, he did not deal with the fans at all.
No, that's right.
In and out. And it's not the same with Judge. He does.
Right. That's
and so is one better than the other? No, because in the end, I don't need the sports athlete to be my pal. I don't need them to vote the way I do. I don't need them to like the music or anything that I like. I don't need any of that. What I need is for, when you're Pete Alonso and we're facing elimination, I need you to hit that home run over the right field fence and scream to the rafters as we make it to the next round of the playoffs. That's what I need. I need a World Series out of you. Everybody knows I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, long suffering. Me and Joe Beningo, the pain. Hey. But the idea is, I don't care how nice Dak Prescott is. I want you to win a Super Bowl. And as long as you win Super Bowls, because Reggie Jackson, by all accounts, was a surly bastard, but he won World Series. So I got no trouble with how bad he was. Win the game and be however you want. There's a lot of players that learn that lesson, that when they're winning and they're real pills, as you would say, nobody cares. And then the moment you're not winning anymore, now everybody's telling you to shut up and win. Nobody cares about what you think. I've always been that guy, with very few notable exceptions. I've never cared how a player thought. I don't care if you win. And the moment you don't win, now I care. Now, hey, look, so like Simone Biles, getting back to her for a minute, when she was winning all those gold medals, she never said anything during that point other than the Larry Nassar, but I didn't care. I didn't care whatever she had to say. Feel free. Well, now that it's no longer you're winning gold medals, but we'll see, obviously, no longer winning gold medals. Well, hey, look, why don't you shut up? Nope. You weren't that vital to me before. Now you're not that vital to me now. So I guess that's kind of my view on how we look at Judge and how we look at Jeter and how we look at Reggie, if we're going to keep it with Yankees for now.
Well, that's it too. Judge, he's going to be measured, which he's being measured on is the playoffs and not doing it in the World Series, which Jeter has.
Hey, got it. What was it? The Raiders, Al Davis, just win, baby. That's it. And if you can't win, that's it. You look, there's a lot of players that will go to the Hall of Fame. There's a lot. Okay. And they deserve it. They're going to have the numbers, they're going to have the longevity, they're going to have all the things that we're talking about. But if you didn't win the World Series in Major League Baseball, I don't care. And I tell people all the time, they did this and this is weird. I believe the last time we were here, we were talking about Barry Bonds, right?
Right.
I wonder if I had Barry Bonds sitting in this empty chair on the screen to my right, had him sitting there now. If I offered him a chance to go back in time, and you would never win an MVP, you would not be in the he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. You wouldn't be considered for the Hall of Fame. You wouldn't have any of the accolades you got, but I'd let you win a World Series. You'd win one World Series. You'd be a World Series champ. And then just an average player having a decent career in the major leagues.
I think he
would. You trade for that? And I bet you would.
He probably would.
I bet you would. Like all these players that they I don't feel, believe it or not though, people like they feel bad for Judge. Oh, he hasn't done this. At least he's on a team that spends money. At least he's on a team that's competitive. Imagine being this fabulous player that plays in, I don't know, Pittsburgh or Oakland or
well, that was Otani who played for the Angels.
Yeah, well, at least the Angels were relevant for a while. But I mean, like, you just sit there, like the A's haven't been relevant since the early 80s. Pittsburgh Pirates haven't been relevant since the 70s.
No, they had.
When were the Pirates
They weren't
relevant?
Well, a couple of years ago,
Willie
they've been
Stargell.
making we're making the playoffs.
I don't know about that.
Now look at Detroit becoming relevant from last year.
White Sox.
Yeah.
I mean, look, they've all won World Series. But what I'm saying is that would I rather be a middling player on the Yankees? Would I rather be that person? Or would I rather be an excellent player on the White Sox? I take the Yankees any day of the week. I'd rather be a middling player and have an opportunity to get to the dance every year. And, I'm part of this unit, and I'm part of that.
Right.
It's kind of like, we're all like having a lot of fun with Bill Belichick and his, his granddaughter that he's dating. And, sorry. but like, would you have rather been on that team with Tom Brady and been just like somebody who's just, like second string linebacker, but won like 6 Super Bowls? Or would you have rather been one of the greatest linebackers on, I don't know, like the Raiders are a little relevant now, but they haven't been in a while, or like your first round out exit in the playoffs? Would you rather be that person? And I'll take Bill Belichick. I'll take being relevant over not being relevant.
Well, then if to go into football, then what about Marino and Fouts?
Well, like I said,
I don't think they.
Marino got to a Super Bowl. He got to one, but the thing about Fouts played in a different era. He was the first quarterback that was really throwing the ball. Now his numbers seem cute,
right?
Like how cute your numbers are. But back then, Dan Fouts was like an anomaly how San Diego was throwing. But I heard a story. I can't confirm it, but I've heard stories about Marino. Part of the reason of I'll get back to it in a minute. Part of the reason of Brady's greatness, okay, and he's the GOAT. I don't care if you don't like him. He's the GOAT. Part of Brady's greatness was he made his money outside of football. He was making all of these investments. He was getting involved in all these other things, so that when it came time to sign people, he did not need to get a max contract, and it allowed the team to get the players around him. Bringing me back to Dan Marino, who, by the way, was broke and failed for bankruptcy some time back. I heard he was gambling a bit too much. But he needed all the money in the world. Like, he took the max contract all the time. One of the biggest things about the Miami Dolphins back in the day, if you remember, was they had a great defense. They really did. And they had wonderful wide receivers, like a really good passing game. They had no running game because they couldn't afford it, because Dan Marino soaked up all the money. And so they couldn't get running backs to complement him. You're noticing, with very few exceptions, most of these Super Bowl teams have complementary quarterbacks and running backs. And one may shine a little more than the other, but you can't key that person all the time. That's why the Eagles won last year, because like Saquon had such a monster year that allowed Jalen Hurts to just play within himself. And when you see and finally the Kansas City Chiefs crashed back to earth because they didn't have that complementary running game, and they were able to figure out Patrick Mahomes last year and how to play him. So when you talk about this fundamental greatness and you talk about these players and what they are, I think part of being great is understanding that, look, and I don't live in anybody's house. And if they were going to pay me $20 million, I don't think I want to take $18 million. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I don't know. I'm not going to leave $2 million on the door. But if I'm now worth, say, $500 million, like some of these quarterbacks are signing these $500 million contracts. And so say that contract ends and we can get maybe some complementary players in your last couple of years to maybe make you relevant or take one more go at it. But you take that $60 million contract because you can't be told that, I'm not worth it anymore. Well, then the team suffers and you collapse, which is, so getting back to my team, which is why I mean, all right, we did get George Pickens, so I can't bitch about having another receiver for the Cowboys. So, and even though he's a nut, at least we have somebody that he can throw to now. But I mean, the idea of the Cowboys locking up all this huge money on Dak Prescott, who did renegotiate his contract, but it's still locked up. And then you've got Parsons and you've got CeeDee Lamb. Now, CeeDee Lamb and Parsons, I would throw the money at. They're younger. Until proven otherwise, like Aaron Judge in the playoffs, until this man wins a Super Bowl, until this man gets past the first round of the playoffs, Dak is not the answer. He is not the answer. He's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. And we'll see how that plays out. But it's the same problem. You're throwing all this money at one person, and you don't have the ability, unless you draft really well, to get these quality players on the other side. And so that's where my issue lies with all of these folks and with the money. And with how they play.
Well, that one thing, the NFL, we know what these teams are bringing in, unlike Major League Baseball, which is why we're heading down after 2026, most likely the lockout and another strike.
Sure.
Because I feel it's getting back to where there's no balance again.
There never was. Everybody talks about, let's get back to the Yankees again for a moment. Now I'm going to shit on them. So it's common knowledge that the 50s, the 60s, early 70s, the Pirates, these other low market teams were basically farm teams for the Yankees. They would poach all their good players because these owners could not afford to compete with the Yankees. And then they had revenue sharing, which was supposed to balance out the league. So, but then what these owners in these smaller markets were doing were pocketing the money and not investing in the team. So maybe you got lucky. You had the Billy Beans of the world that were able to piece together Moneyball in Oakland a couple of times. Or like you'd see the Kansas City Royals winning a World Series. But they're the anomaly. Look every year in Major League Baseball with notable rare exceptions. It's the same 8 to 10 teams every single year in the playoffs, and they're the ones that compete.
If that's why they're gonna coming back to 2026, something's gonna happen with expansion. They're gonna wind up going to probably 2 divisions.
Yeah.
Overall, and what? It's 12 teams or no,
playoffs or
16. They're gonna go to like 20 over 20.
They've watered it down.
That's how it's gonna be.
And they've watered down the playoffs, so it doesn't matter anymore. So there's no incentive. It's one of my arguments about hockey and basketball. Everybody makes the playoffs. So that's why, and I don't talk about the winter ballet because I don't like it, but that's why they had to come up with that bullshit tournament in the middle of the year for basketball, because none of these guys were playing because none of the games mattered.
Right.
So they're going out there giving you a horrible show. They don't start playing until the second half of the season. Like, you're a professional athlete, and you know that it doesn't matter because everybody makes the playoffs. Hockey, everybody makes the playoffs. I mean, hockey's a different animal. They all really play. I'm not going to argue with them. But, I mean, that almost more than half the league is going to make the playoffs. So you don't have to worry about this for too long. And I don't know. It's just sports is – I'm always like a free marketer, so I think you should make as much money as you can. I'm not an owner. Spend the money the way you want. You can tell the owners that spend the money on the team. You can tell the owners that spend the money on themselves. It's very obvious in the product. But at some point, it's ridiculous amounts of money. It's not monitored. It's not incentivized in any way. There's no incentive to win, And then, like, okay, I'm the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? And they have that pitcher is slipping. They have a very good pitcher, Skeens, and they're going to lose him. Everybody knows. So if I'm a Pittsburgh Pirates fan and I want to develop a relationship with this team, I know that there is no chance in hell that owner is going to sign anything. That there is no chance that owner is going to spend any money to keep that man there. And now if I'm Paul Skeens, why do I want to stay here? You're not the best years of my life are coming up. Most pitchers like up till like about 27. Like that's the magic year for most athletes, 27 years old. And maybe you got 4 or 5 more good years in you after that. And it's over.
Well, they got to wait till what? 4 years of service.
Right. Well, that was I'll get back to the Yankees, but they're not the only one. I'm just picking on the Yankees because I don't like them. But because the Yankees would just poach these people. They would come in and take your best player. So now, like I said, I'm a fan of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Why am I going? Granted, look, if you've ever been to a Pittsburgh game, you can sit right behind home plate for $20.
Yeah.
Like, it's not expensive. You get really good seats there.
And it's a beautiful park.
Yeah. But why can you get really good seats there? Because nobody goes to the games and they don't spend money. So what are you going to get? So you're going to get 2, maybe 3 relevant years out of Skeens. And if you're lucky and the team gels, you might make the playoffs once.
1 year.
And so now you've got everybody excited. You made the playoffs. Let's get you out of the first round. You made it out of the first round of the playoffs. You know that guy will not be on your team. The Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, I'll throw the Mets in there, and maybe 2 other teams have the money to spend, and they're going to take that player away, and Pittsburgh will not be able to compete with that. So why am I incentivizing this? Why am I a fan? Why am I coming to the ballpark? Why am I trying to get my children excited about this team? There's just no reason for it. So, like NFL, we spin it through. NFL has parity now. Some teams get managed worse than others. Okay. Like the Raiders are a dysfunctional team. There's multiple dysfunctional teams in the NFL that are not managed well.
That was the Redskins, and now look at.
But they're on an equal playing field.
Right.
The low teams get the draft picks. You sign your players. There's revenue sharing. There's a salary cap. You have to go within. So there's a good side to that. Your team can be competitive. So, the
NFL is always competitive.
Well, it wasn't there were a few years where it wasn't.
Yeah.
But the NFL is a competitive league. But on the downside, Saquon Barkley's on the Eagles. You know what I mean? Like, the great running back for the Giants, and at least I thought so. I thought they were crazy to sign. I played out perfectly. Signing Daniel Jones and letting Saquon Barkley go goes down in one of the dope moves of any general manager. But it allows Saquon to go to the Eagles, and the Eagles benefit by winning a Super Bowl, which I don't think they would have won without
Barkley.
And so that allows for like this parity, but the downside to that is, so you buy a Saquon jersey as a Giant fan. Well, now that's, you're using that, using that to wipe the floor because he's not on the Giants anymore. You don't get that attachment to a player anymore. So you're more attached to a team now. Like that, and I have experience with that with the Dallas Cowboys, with certain players that come in, and I like them, and then they end up.
They actually have football players have the shorter life than the baseball.
Average, I think the average length is 3 years.
Yeah,
I have 2 friends that played in the NFL that were low level. We may have them on one day. I'll call them up and ask, because they have a really interesting story, and they can talk about that too. Maybe we'll have them in. But the whole idea of which one's better, which one's worse, I don't know. I think if there's parity, you water down the league a bit. I think once you get these major contracts and it's guaranteed, like I go back and forth on that. Like, there's only so many years you can play. You're at this elite level. You've made it. Other than Bronny James, who has a famous father, but the idea that you've made it to the majors of some sort, maybe you should guarantee the contract. But if I'm a guy who, like I'm Mookie Betts, then he signed for wasn't he a $500 million guy? I know Judge was. Let's do Judge. Even though Judge plays hard every day, I'm certainly not going to shit on him. But if he gets hurt, he's in no hurry to get back. If he starts to feel this pain, he's not going to start legging it out and work it out for what's going on. He's guaranteed that money, whether he plays or not.
Right.
And so, like I said, I'm not trying to shit on Judge. I think he's a great player. But that whole mentality sets in now that I'm already paid. I don't have to work hard anymore. You can't take this money away from me. You can bench me. That might be something. But imagine benching a player you're paying $500 million to. Right?
I don't think he has that attitude where he would even.
No, I'm not putting it.
No,
I'm
I know
just saying
that.
that where does the incentive go? If today, our little podcast, you told us today we're all going to make, what's a good number, Blue? How much for you?
I don't know.
what's
Why don't we go with like $1 million? Why
$1
not?
million.
You know, we'll go big or go home.
Big, $100 million for
Yeah,
each of
even
us.
better.
For each of us, right? I mean, and it's guaranteed whether you show up or not. Are you driving in the rain here? Probably not.
No.
I'm probably sitting here by myself today. So that's kind of the idea.
Or I'd be by myself because I could walk here if I had
There
to.
you go. Yes, you'd be talking to the microphones. Oh, go caller, you're on the air.
I'll be running around the mics trying to look like, somebody different, putting different hats on.
Tie your hair up,
Yeah, put it in a bun.
Push it away. Yeah.
Want to take a 5-minute?
Sure. Why don't we
5-minute break?
5-minute break here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do a 5-minute break. We'll do some commercials.
Excellent.
And then we'll go back to the Mets, Yankees.
My Mets. That's what we all should talk about.
All right.
Greatest team in baseball.
We'll be back in 5.
This is why the ball keeps going into the road. And here's how you can stop that. Keep the ball in the driveway with Bounce Blocker. Get yours at www.bounce-blocker.com.
(911) Specialties. Special gifts for special professions. We are the originators of the QR Family Member Gold Card. We also custom manufacture police specialty items such as blue line flags with your name, coffee mugs, plaques, window shields, shield holders, cigar carriers, and hip flasks. Check out our website at 911specialties.store or come and visit us in person at 188 High Street, Nutley, New Jersey.
Fetty Ford, 1137 U.S. Route 46, Clifton, New Jersey. 973-779-7000. Check them out on the web at fettyfordsales.com.
Visit www.proudpig.blue. Dirty by design. Because if you're not patrolling with the pig, you're doing it wrong. Check out all of our new swine swag, and as always, thank you for your pig patronage.
Gara's Pizza, 200 Strikers Road, Phillipsburg, New Jersey. 908-454-9272. Home of the famous Upside Down Sicilian. Rated 8.7 by Mike the Cop. One bite, it's the law. Head down to Gara's, grab a slice, and let us know what you think. Tell them the Blue Podcast Network sent you.
Line of Duty Cigars proudly donates cigars to our servicemen and women stationed abroad. Check out all their cigars and products at www.lineofdutycigars.com.
Mama Shug's freeze-dried candy. Find them on the web at mamashugsfreezedriedcandy.com. What is freeze-dried candy? Glad you asked. Freeze-dried candy, as the name suggests, undergoes a process where it's frozen and all moisture is removed, leaving behind pure sugar crystals. This technique intensifies the flavor and transforms previously gummy or chewy treats into light, airy, and crunchy delights. Whatever you do, don't sleep on the Charleston Chew. It is delicious.
The Sun Tavern of Roselle Park, New Jersey, where the blue line goes to dine. Come in for our delicious pizza, cold beer, awesome mixed drinks, and Mike the Cop's favorite, the hanging pretzel.
Dubs on 5th, 402 5th Street, West Easton, PA. Family-friendly pub offering American eats and casual digs. Sporting kids games and high-definition TVs for all your sporting needs. Happy hour specials, clam and wing night deals, and live music are also on the menu. Dubs on 5th, 402 5th Street, West Easton, PA.
And we're back from our little break
At the
Tactical Support Studios, Blue Room Podcast, Sports Beat with Fredericks and Freed. Enjoying a lovely sunny day, in lovely Phillipsburg. And apparently, I thought we'd mentioned this earlier. The No Kings protest. I thought the rain would keep them out, as we said. Apparently, we had an on the road, from Mo, and apparently the rain has not deterred these people from turning the American flag upside down and signs and all sorts of protesting. But what are you going to do, sir? Where are we at now?
So to finish up with our Yankees, what they did, like I said, prior night they won. Last night they lost. No real offense. No real. There were some blunders. I know there was a couple of plays where the umpire, again, it's been happening in the Met game too, and bad umpire calls.
I have a question. Not even baseball related. I, for one,
The Robo.
I want to go to the robot
Yes.
strikes. I want that eliminated, because I sit there during games and it's in almost every game now. You'll see a little stat and they'll talk about where the umpire, the propensity to call a strike. And I sit there, I get aggravated. I go, if it's a strike, it's a strike. I don't care that you don't like the low strike. It's a strike. And I was watching the Met game yesterday, and Mets kind of blew that on their own, right, with the bullpen. But I'm watching it, and I'm watching this ump call this strike. It's like 6 inches off the plate, and I'm just like, I want that over. Over. I've actually been to a game that had it, and
The
I loved it. I loved it. The umpire just like they still have an ump. You don't lose your job because if the catcher drops the ball or there's a play at the plate, the robots don't call that. But,
No.
oh, I couldn't wait.
But they did it during the spring training where like they did with the minors, the batter taps his head if he wants, because that's the other thing where he could ask for a video review of the strike or the ball.
I would just rather have the robot call it. Set it up. Everybody's there. There's no human error in it anymore. And like, I still want humans doing things, like, because when Skynet takes over, that's a problem. I'm getting a new garage door. It's very exciting in my old age. This is what excites me now. And there's like, there's a remote, like, that can go through my phone. And so I'm sitting there, that's when Skynets get you. Like the garage just collapses on top of you. That's what's going to happen. So we're going to do the robots calling the balls and strikes. And that's when it starts. That's when it goes live. They launch the missiles right after that.
Well, if you want to marry that into law enforcement, and people aren't happy about that too.
What's that?
Where it could be going AI, this and that. And,
for what in law enforcement?
Taking over for us?
I don't think you're ever going to be up. Well, there's some things. I'm not against AI. AI is good for research.
No, I agree.
As long as you follow up AI's creativity. I mean, I feel bad for all the graphic designers and people involved in that, because if a computer can do this, it's going to eliminate a lot of jobs. You're going to have to you have got to figure out how to reintegrate yourself into the job market. But the human interaction of things, you're not going to have that Sylvester Stallone movie. What was that one?
Well, we do have the drone program, the famous drone program.
Oh, Kaz and the drones. Yeah. I see. I mean, I already know that computers and that type of thing assists us. Like I can just tell you, and not sports related, but I mean, like when we would do homicide investigations, where we're using computers that do analyze phone data. We're using ShotSpotter to triangulate where things happen. Video assistance with AI processing things, facial recognition software. We're already doing it, but there's still like a human element to everything. So like an example would be, and then we'll get, because we are a sports show. An example would be fingerprint analysis. 99% of fingerprints now, except when you're getting, for some reason, when you're getting a gun permit or a immigration, they still do paper prints for some reason. I don't quite get that, but okay. Even though the computer can analyze a fingerprint and come up with my thumb, a human still has to certify that. There's a human being who is certified in fingerprint identification that has to certify what the computer came up with,
right? Which
I like.
You got to get the point.
There has to be a human element to it. If you're eliminating that human element, that's when things become problematic. Like I realize that eventually robot-driven cars like those Waymos that all those protesters burnt, because, it really showed Donald Trump and, the people of Gaza that we support you by burning these electronic cars that have nothing to do with it. But I digress. But you remember they were all arguing they burn more stuff when the Lakers win a world title, and I'm like, yeah, that's a real positive thing to say there. But I don't like the robot cars. Like I have friends who own Teslas and the truck and they self-drive. I get it. Like, I mean, if you've had a few pops and you got to go home and the car drives you home, or the car is able to navigate you through certain things, and maybe accidents will be less and deaths will go down, but you're taking away that whole element of freedom, and so like getting back to baseball, part of the game is recognizing, I know I just bitched about it and I don't want it, but part of the game is recognizing that if the umpire is calling the low strike and not calling the high strike, and as long as that umpire is calling the low strike for everybody, you have to adjust to that. And that's part of that human element that makes the game what it is. You take that human element away, and that computer is just going to call that strike, whether it's a strike or not.
It's going to change the pitching game again, too.
Oh yeah, I mean the clock. Everybody likes to say like no one liked the pace of the game. Everybody liked the pace of the game. You're going to a baseball game, you want to be there for 3.5 hours, having some beers and a hot dog out in the sun, having a good time. They just wanted those games 2 to 2:25 because of TV. They want in and out. They want predictability to the game. So don't ever let them say that. And when they play 3.5, 4-hour games, you got to pay the staff to stay. So they were losing money on that as well.
Right.
But I don't know, you see where computers have affected, to me, the game the most in football with replay. There's too much replay, slowing the game down. And
hockey,
not
much.
Premier League soccer is another one. I mean, they get the
offsides.
They get the offsides call right. They
Right.
do, but it takes too long. It slows the game down. The flow slows down. And I'm just not part of it. I don't like the NFL. You got a team making a drive, right? And that team now has to sit there and wait while we review this minuscule call that, okay, they got it wrong, they got it right, but the whole flow of the game is different now. And it's just something that I don't know. Where do you fall on it? Where do you fall on that type of stuff? I don't like it, but I understand why it's there.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like it? Do you don't like it?
I like you. I want the robo behind the plate.
Right.
There was a call that probably could have been replayed, but they didn't. I don't know what the I think it was the Met game down the left field line. I forgot who the ball just touched. Like
that was the Pete Alonso hit, wasn't it? Yesterday there was a Pete Alonso hit that just hit the line.
Hit the line, yeah, right on the corner. There are certain plays where you got to like that just in case they call a foul. You want it to make sure it's not foul and fair.
Here's something with AI though. This is where I think it could help. AI, like it's a human that's reviewing this stuff. They're using computers, yes. Like so the offsides in Premier League.
Well, tennis does that.
Right. Do you see how fast they do things though?
Right.
This is what I'm talking about. If you're telling me that, so you have Premier League soccer and they're offsides, and you can do that offsides call, bing,
instantly.
Here it is, and the call comes up, and I don't know, 15 seconds later, we know. That's something where I think AI and computers would be helpful, because you're reviewing this. This is what we're doing. It's moving quickly. So the robo strikes would be quickly done. It's yes or no.
Right.
And the only thing the umpire's really looking at, because that's, I have no idea why they haven't gotten rid of, they get rid of all these other rules. Catcher drops the ball on the third strike. Why do you get to run to first base? You struck out. I never understood that. But I mean, so the umpire could be there for there. The umpire could be there for plays at the plate. What was the batter hit? Was the batter not hit? Things like that. But in the end, it moves the game along. It makes it more efficient.
Right.
I just think that the idea of AI and football, for example, and all the penalties they call, it just takes forever. Why is this human being reviewing this? Here's the AI. Here's the AI analysis. Here's the ref. Look at the screen. There it is. Yes or no, and that's the end of it. And I think that would help things out. The part where I don't like the booth reviews, the part where I don't like the computers, is it just takes too long. The flow of the game stops. You're constantly going to this replay, and it's just like, and here we are again. And football does it the worst. They have to really improve on that. There's just too many times that they go to review plays, and it just ruins the flow of the game. Teams driving down the field and one controversial call and then another one, and all of a sudden now that team's cold, waiting for them to come back.
Well, I thought they were adopting what the XFL did. They are doing that kind of the ref in the booth that can automatically make a call down to the field.
Oh, what I know it had a name, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. So they're doing that now. So okay,
yeah.
Because it's just it's I embrace technology. I embrace where it's going. It does make for, in some instances, a more enjoyable and fair sport, but if it's ruining the flow of the game, then it's kind of like timeouts in basketball. Once again, I don't like the winter ballet, so don't quote me on things. But like, so the first 3 quarters of the game goes in 5.5 seconds. And then the last 2 minutes of the game or the last 2 minutes of the half goes on for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Because
you're calling
timeouts and
yeah.
fall. I mean, oh my God, what a nightmare. It's like, oh, and I'm just sitting there like, this was a real, this could have been a very exciting game, but I don't know how you limit timeouts. You know, can't really do that.
No.
You know, they're going to call it. They're going to call it, you know, fouls or something else. They can, you know, talk to me all day about, you know, why I don't like, I believe we were talking off air about why I don't like basketball. So you go back to the days of like Bird and Magic and the bad boys of Detroit, you know, Clyde Drexler, you know, the Twin Towers of Houston. These folks fought.
Right. They're playing it inside and everything. No 3 points.
John Starks, Patrick Ewing going up against the Bulls. And these were rough games. Like there was no ticky tack. There was no soft playing. I mean, Michael Jordan saved the game and ruined the game with the Michael Jordan rule where you couldn't touch him,
right.
Which is where we are today, which is why I don't view LeBron James or Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, or any of these other people as better than these guys, because you're in a league now where you can take 5 steps and do a layup and it's not traveling anymore. We clear out so people can hit 3-pointers all day and it's just boring. And I'm just sitting there like, who gets into this stuff? And I just I used to say, like, you know, you went inside on Bill Laimbeer and the Detroit Pistons. You lost teeth. Yeah. You lost teeth when you came out of that.
And then there was a fight.
And
And Rodman.
And then they shook hands and went back to work.
Right.
And that was the end of it. And now it's just a bunch of crybabies. I can't watch it. We were talking, Blue was talking off about that hockey and the fights. I haven't heard a player yet that doesn't like having a fight. You know what I mean? And fans love it. I don't know why hockey's trying to legislate it away. It's the last sport that allows anything like that to happen. So, I mean, I don't see a lot of those 10-minute majors. Like I went to a couple of hockey games where they were doing that. I'm like, oh, that's going to ruin the game. You take a player off on a 10-minute, they're out for 1 period. I mean, right. Forget it, you know? And so I think it looks like they got away from that. But I mean, you know, hockey. Should we chat about Florida and Edmonton for a minute? 3-0 to 3-3 to an overtime win. Unreal.
Well, Panthers could repeat.
Yeah.
Or is this going to be McJesus's first?
No, I think the Panthers are the better team. They're going to repeat. I don't see Edmonton winning.
Although, you know,
brilliant comeback. I'll give them that.
You know who I like now on the Panthers?
Who?
Marshawn.
Why do you like him so much now?
He's not, because he's not on the Bruins. That's what
I see. Anybody off the Boston team? Yeah.
You wouldn't take Marshawn on the
sure I would.
On the Devils?
Sure I would. Yeah, I take anybody. Anybody that helps the Devils.
He's leading that Panthers team too.
Yeah. Well, there's a few players on the Panthers that are doing all right now. But it was exciting. I mean, I freely admit I went to bed 3-0. I'm like, I'm tired. Going to bed. And then I wake up like, what? I was like, oh, you know, that's why you can't sleep on hockey. You got to watch it all the way through. So makes it exciting.
But we know past is past. The Islanders with their dynasty and everything. Last team to do back-to-back. Do you know who that was? Stanley Cup.
Last team? Was it the Avalanche?
No.
Okay.
Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh.
Back-to-back champs. 2020, they beat the Stars 4-2. And then 2021, they beat the Canadians 4-1.
Yeah, probably had nobody in the stands. That was COVID.
When's the last Canadian team to win?
They haven't won in a while, right? That's a thing.
1993, the Canadians beat the.
I was going to say
the Kings.
That that was the impetus for that basically that Nations League thing.
Yeah.
That's why the Americans and the Canadians fought, because they were busting chops over the fact that they couldn't win anything.
They can't win. It's been, like I said, 93.
Right.
Then what happened right after that? The team you hate.
Oh,
1994.
I can still hear Howie Rose. I forgive him. He's one of the greatest announcers, but he's a Met announcer. But I can still hear Matteau screaming, Matteau.
1994, and then your Devils win the Stanley Cup in '95. They beat the Wings 4-0.
Yeah. Martin Brodeur.
And then your Devils then again did it again in 2000 and
Yeah, yeah.
2023.
Good times. But yeah.
So back to
So back to our Mets, please.
Well,
Let's
wait.
get we're still not going to talk about the Mets. Why can't we talk about
well,
the Mets?
no, we're gonna get to the Mets, but for that, before they lost last night, Yankees were on the 3-game winning streak. It was a shutout. It was their fourth shutout of the year. Fourth shutout of the year where they won. That's 7 wins, 7 shutout. Actually, let me scratch that. 7.
We'll get that out in post.
7 shutout wins, and they're ranked 4th.
Okay.
Number 1 is the Padres with 12 shutout wins. And then our Mets are 9th with 6.
Baseball and like, so off topic, because I just yelled at him. I want to talk about the Mets, but let's bitch about something else. Baseball has a bunch of meaningless stats. Like I'll give you the controversial one, like Lou Gehrig and the Iron Man, and the games that he played, and then how Cal Ripken beats him. Who gives a fuck? Who cares how many games you played in? You were probably Cal Ripken in his last 2 years was probably hurting the Orioles more than he was helping them. Gehrig would go out for one pitch in the first inning to keep this meaningless fucking streak alive. Who cares? I go like, so like you got like Joe DiMaggio in 56 games. He hit safely in 56 games. I'm not going to talk about Joe D. I mean, he went to World War II. I mean, this was the greatest generation, and he won all those World Series, and consequently married Marilyn Monroe. Let's give him that one as well. But who cares that he hit in 56 straight games? What did those hits mean? Were they meaningful hits? Did you win a game because of that hit, or did you just get a hit? I don't get it with the stats that they do. It kills me. When we talk about the Hall of Fame, for example, I always go, here's where a stat matters, because this is where the individual matters. So I'm very, very particular about these things.
It's funny you should bring up the Hall of Fame.
Are we talking about Pete Rose again? So
You're close. I appreciate you not noticing that I'm wearing my shoeless Joe Jackson and Greenville Spinners authentic wool jersey today.
Wool blend from America.
Where do you guys? Well, I kind of know where you guys stand already on this, but now that Major League Baseball has unbanned.
Yes.
Not ironically, because they're running out of names of people to put in there because they're caught in this quandary with the steroid era. And so they figure what better way to make money now than to let's unban Pete Rose and shoeless Joe Jackson, who will be they'll be in the 2028 class.
They'll be in.
Now, if I'm Pete Rose's family, and maybe you don't, I don't know, maybe it does. If Pete Rose's family says, no, we don't want him in the Hall of Fame, do they have the ability to block that? Or does Major League Baseball probably have some kind of rights to the Pete Rose's name?
Well, the Hall of Fame isn't affiliated with Major League Baseball. It's a totally separate organization. I don't think it's kind of along the lines of where you remember Wade Boggs went in as a Tampa Bay Devil Ray, even though he was a Boston Red Sox for his entire career.
Yes.
They took away all that ability for players and people to influence what was going on. And
because of money. Yeah.
I'm guessing because Dave Winfield tried to pull that. He tried to go in as a
twin. No,
Padre was it?
Well, no, I think
he went in as a Padre. I think he wanted to go in as a Yankee.
Oh, okay.
But the whole idea is that I don't think they would have the ability to stop that. I think
if I was Pete Rose's family, I definitely, at minimum, I would have nothing to do with the ceremony. I would go 100%, and I would make it known. I'd put a statement from the family, which basically would be a fuck you to Major League Baseball.
Or I'd go to a scorched earth speech there. I go in there, I just burn the place to the ground.
Yeah. Oh, go like you're gonna go under good like nice pretenses, right? And then just flip the script completely up.
Oh, I was going to say this.
Yeah. Fuck you. No kings. No, I'm sorry.
Free Gaza.
Yeah. That's it.
But
I don't think they're going to show.
No, I
I
don't
don't
think
think
I don't think they should, and it's really it's so.
even though I want him in the Hall of Fame.
he's like the greatest hitter of all
Wait,
time.
you don't want him in the Hall?
No,
of
I
Fame?
do.
He does.
I do.
Oh, you do.
But-
Yeah,
but
it's good.
So getting back to my statement about numbers and meaningless numbers in baseball, the time when it matters is the Hall of Fame. But I'm real particular about it. Like, so look, I'll pick on one player because I just remember when it was happening. Mike Mussina, decent pitcher, Yankees and Orioles, right? 222 wins, right? Different era of baseball, 5 starters. You know, you're not doing 9-inning games anymore, all that kind of stuff. Well, for me, were you as good as Tom Seaver?
No.
If you are not as good as Tom Seaver, you do not belong in the Hall of Fame. Were you as good as Yogi Berra or Johnny Bench? If you are not as good as them, you don't belong in the Hall of Fame. And those numbers bear it out. That's where the numbers matter. And it's the only time I talk about numbers. Were you as good as Ricky Henderson? No, then you don't belong in the Hall of Fame. Because what we're going to start seeing now is, as Mo.
Well, Ricky Henderson did steroids.
Well, but I don't think he ever got caught. So we'll deal with that. But the idea of, say, the steroid era, like that you were right, Mo. That's going to cause a lot of problems because there are people in the steroid era that have the numbers to get into the Hall of Fame. But the other side of it is now partly because of how we play baseball now. Because I mean, here, you want me to knock on the greatest reliever I've ever seen, Mariano Rivera? He was no Sparky Lyle. Sparky Lyle had to pitch 3 innings to get a save. Now you come in with runners, bases loaded, and the potential tying run and 1 out, and you get a save out of that. So, you know, it's a totally different ball game with the stats that you have now. But so I guess we're never going to see another 300-game winner, maybe. You know, are we ever going to? I mean, we might, and how the home run ball is now and how we do things. So we're going to see all these audacious numbers, but are they really as good as some of these other players? And yes, we're going to talk about greenies and how they kept awake in the 50s. We can talk about the dead ball. We can talk about them raising the mound and how things were.
And the no night games and the shorter schedule.
Right.
And I listen.
And Black's not being able to play in the major leagues and all their stats that they had, you know, so.
It's a great argument. And I've always said, I mean, even when you bring the steroids into the mix, that's why I always say, I don't like comparing generation to generation. I think you go into the Hall of Fame because you are the best at your time. I think, you know, the advantages and the disadvantages that every generation has, that those are real factors, you know, and they always make the joke, you know, would Babe Ruth be able to hit a CC Sabathia 89-mile-an-hour slider? You know, probably not. I mean, it's not fair to compare generation to generation. So I'm with that. And that's why, again, that also ties into my argument for the steroid era guys. I mean, they were all using steroids of some form. They were all using performance enhancing drugs. And then you look at somebody like Roger Clemens, he was using steroids or not, he was pitching against these monsters and he was still winning 22 games a year.
We should be fair about that because Roger Clemens in his last year with the Red Sox had almost a 4 ERA and was 15-15 and was basically coming out of baseball and then mysteriously found the fountain of youth in Toronto and was winning 21-22 games and found 10 more miles on his fastball and was winning World Series and MVPs. So was it him or was it the steroids at this point?
I think it was the steroids. In my mind, at least, even using pitching as an example, the bulkier you get, the actual less flexible you are, and that's going to take away from the pitching. I think where the steroids impacts the player the most, besides the ability to heal faster, and I think, you know, again, at an age where they were getting, where past generations were breaking down, these guys were getting stronger. That's where the cheating comes in. For me, at least, because then you can make the argument, you know, what would Hank Aaron have done with 5 more healthy years, you know, or 5 more years?
Ken Griffey.
Same thing, right? So, but where I think the steroids really impacts people, it's false confidence. It boosts their ego and they believe in themselves. They believe that they're monsters, right? Like, why was Mike Tyson so unbeatable for all those years? Because he really believed that he was invincible. Like
and cocaine.
and cocaine. I mean, and insanity and brain damage. But besides those things,
here's another one though. Here's my argument for steroids. I have sympathy, and I'm going to bring up a Met in a moment, just so you know. I'm fair picking on everybody.
By the way, are you growing a beard?
I am indeed.
What the? No, why? If I never thought that Jonathan Fredericks could not get creepier, now you have a beard. You are a candy van away from a predator.
Well, I should borrow Mike's paint van. go around to grade schools.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. The advantage of
steroids, other than the beard, is other than the ability to grow a beard, is if you're like in AAA. And that's going to get you to the dance. I got nothing but sympathy for you. You have so many productive years, and you're right at the edge of making some money, right at the edge of a lifetime of work. I don't have a problem with that. And please, because I'm going to do the Mets, and then you. One of my favorite Mets of all time, Michael Piazza, would not be in the major leagues without steroids.
He wouldn't have been in the major leagues if Tommy Lasorda wasn't his godfather.
No, he was drafted in a real low round. He was a minor leaguer.
Right, he was drafted in a real low round because
I'm never going to get an autograph from him now. But
the way the story goes is that he was not going to be drafted in Tommy Lasorda because his relationship with Piazza told the Dodgers, if you do not draft him at some point, I will quit as your manager.
Okay.
Now, listen, to Mike's credit, regardless of how he got in, he stayed on his own merit. Yeah. And I can't argue that. No. I mean, it's just like our profession, right? Yeah. I mean, you get in by nepotism or whatever. Listen, whatever. I can't hate that game. If my father was the deputy chief of whatever the fuck, and you think that they were going to offer me some spot on the JTTF task force 6 months out, and I'm going to say no because it's going to hurt your feelings. No. Fuck you. No. I'm going. So it is what it is. But at least to his credit, regardless of how he got into the major leagues, when he got there, he earned it. He stayed there. He stayed there. Yeah, correct.
I think he did what? 18 years, I think. Close enough. What were you going to say, Mike?
Well, actually, we're going to skip it.
Okay.
But
controversy.
But for the last couple of minutes, I know you guys are talking about. Let's, like you said, get to the Mets for the last.
Please.
For the ending.
Let's get to the Mets, please.
Even though we had
talked about the Yankees and shoeless Joe Jackson, and again, Mo brings up Pete Rose. That's like a third podcast.
I'm gonna keep bringing it up. Before you get to the Mets, can we just agree that whatever kind of fellatio you're gonna perform on them right now, that the Mets are still going to end up 5 games out of first place by the end of the season?
No.
They're
okay.
The best team in baseball right now.
Anyone want some action on that?
The best team in baseball right now. Best 2, 3, 4 hitters going.
Sorry, Mike.
Juan Soto, I know you Yankee fans love to hate. Finally hitting. Pete Alonso playing for a contract, doing fantastic. The Mets better sign him back. Just keep him.
For the record, I don't hate Soto. I hated him, and I don't hate him for going to the Mets. I don't even hate him. I think he's a great player. And I was saying, when everybody was shitting on him and saying how miserable he was being a Met and he regrets going over there, shut up. No, he doesn't. And somebody that talented is going to play. He's going to perform. He's one of the best players in baseball, and he will. That talent doesn't just disappear because he switched the stadium. Stop it.
To be fair, Mike, the Mets, though, I'm a big believer, as Yankee fans will always point out, you do not win the World Series in June.
Right.
And the Yankees did make the dance last year. And the Mets, I mean, let me tell you, that's the most enjoyment, even though they didn't make it to the World Series. That's the most enjoyment I've had out of that team in decades. I mean,
no, they put on a good run. They put on a really good run.
What a great run last year. And personally, I think they're a better team this year. I mean, we took.
Well, they have that experience behind them.
We took 5 out of 7 from the Dodgers. It was supposed to be
4 out of 3. 4.
I thought we had 5.
No, 4.
Well,
4 out of 7.
4 out of 7 from the Dodgers. Yeah. We're supposed to be the best team in baseball.
Right. And then,
what's your thoughts on where the Mets are and what Mo thinks? What Mo's thoughts on Pete Rose coming to the Mets?
I still think that both teams are going to make the playoffs still.
Yeah, that's without doubt.
Mets are still on the pace of at least 100 wins, which no one expected.
No. The pitching is surprising me the
right.
most.
Although Senga was put on the 15-day, but everyone thinks he's going to be out for 2 months.
Oh, it's a grade 1 strain. I
No.
just read in the paper. 2 months now. Nah,
I think it's going to be.
I don't see that. I don't see that.
That's why you want Mania back, but then
Right.
Blackburn, Blackburn.
Well,
That whole Mendy kind of screwed that whole
They-
thing.
the-
Not mismanage it.
the
Thinking
release-
that they would win and this and that. And
the relief staff has been nothing but aces,
Right.
except for Stanek lately. Stanek's had a bit of a hump, but the relief staff has been aces. No problems with them. That's the biggest surprise of all. That and the starting pitching, like how well they're pitching. You know, I mean, it's amazing. You know, you got to give Stearns some credit. Like, I mean, the team he puts together and how he evaluates and rates players and rates people in. It's obviously paying off, you know, like, cause I even questioned some of the things that he was like doing. And I questioned like where the money was being spent. Of course I wanted Juan Soto. I'm not going to lie, but like at the expense of the Yankees getting Max Fried, you know, at the expense of all these other high end pitchers that are out there. Everybody knows pitching wins World
Everyone
Series.
wanted Burns for the
Or
Mets,
Burns.
and he's out now for
Yeah.
the next
Yeah.
probably 2 years. Well,
Well, yeah, look, you can't predict people getting
Yeah.
hurt. But what I'm saying is that I'm pleasantly surprised at how Uncle Stevie and Stearns are managing this particular ball club and how they look at what the Met fan should be expecting and what the Met fan should want. It really is it's like a breath of fresh air. Like, I mean, you know, we live in, you know, I'll say it all the time. We live in the tri-state area. This is a Yankee town. Everybody knows it. And the Yankees are the dominant team, no matter what. And so to have the Mets knock the Yankees off the back page of the paper, to have the talk be about the Mets, to have the storylines be about the Mets, and be able to watch this team and be excited by them and how they're winning and how they're getting things done. Oh, where do I sign up for that? And you already heard me last year. My God, did you see my excited rants, video rants, screaming?
Still not as creepy as your Cowboys missive. So I'm just gonna say, like, but you gotta start bringing them out now for Mets games. The problem is it's too much. I mean,
yeah, my liver would have a problem.
Once a week is different than every other night.
You have to understand the genesis of the missive. So here I am, and I go out to the Yard House. It's around the corner, and because I'm such a rock star there, they'll put on my TV for me. They go, "Sir, the Cowboys are on TV 4," and they'll have a seat for me, and I go sit down. And so as the Cowboys, you'll know if I'm sober, the Cowboys did well, and if the Cowboys did not do well, that's when I show up and I'm slurring my words and getting all sorts of facts wrong about everybody else. But it doesn't really matter. It's the essence. It's my milieu. It's my artwork. It is where my masterpiece are painted. I am the Monet of the
whole missive about a missive is getting just as creepy. But go ahead.
And the beard makes it even more so. Even more so. I finally decided I grew a beard once when I had hair, and it was very, very red and brown. And so I said, I want to see, now that I'm, you know, a bit more seasoned, as they would say, what the beard would look like. And I'm noticing the gray tinge. You notice the gray tinge? Yeah. I like it. Very regal, and makes me feel learned. More words for Mo that he doesn't want me to do. But your thoughts on the Mets or my drunkenness?
Well, no,
either one.
What's telling too is, you know, rare to see the Mets getting back to, you know, I think that almost back-to-back shutouts.
Yeah,
I think.
Complete game by Robertson.
Right. I'll get back to not Robert Peterson. Peterson. The back-to-back sweeps. The last time that happened was back in 2019 for the Mets.
Long time ago.
The first time was they swept the Marlins August 6th to 8th. That following game, you know who that was against?
No.
The Nationals also.
No, jeez. Yeah. All these teams, the Nationals were supposed to be a better team. The Phillies were supposed to be a better team. We're, 4.5 up on the Phillies now? Yeah, 4.5 up. That, by the way, the Phillies, out of all the players the Mets let get away, there's a lot of ex-Met pitchers that are doing quite well on other teams now. Zach Wheeler. How we let that left-hander go.
Which brings me to Peterson.
Yeah.
Same kind of situation. He had the surgery, just like Wheeler with the Tommy John. Everyone's saying not to sign him, Mets have to sign Peterson because I feel he's going to be the next Zach Wheeler.
You think
in
so?
the same situation. You have to sign him.
Zach's done it year after year. I mean, that's high praise.
But Peterson is one of the best lefties right now. The past couple with a 2+ ERA.
Okay.
So he's getting
Kodai 1.5, 1.6.
his
shame he's out.
His ERA actually is
2 months.
With
2 months, you're telling me?
We'll see. And I think I don't know how Max Fried isn't the top for Cy Young in the AL when they have Scooble is not the ranking number 1.
I don't know about that. We'll see. That comes down to personality as well too. How it's going. It's a long season.
But yes, I know they were saying that Senga doesn't have to pitch. Even if he didn't miss like a month or whatever, his ERA will probably still be the top ERA. But will that let him?
Yeah, I don't. The Cy Young winners, sometimes that's a popularity contest more than who actually deserves it. It's kind of like you were talking about the MVP. You thought it should be Lindor, but you thought it should be Lindor, but there's someone lurking behind me. It's creepy. But I didn't have a problem with it being Ohtani. It wasn't a big deal for me. He's a generational athlete. He's doing it year after year. I mean, Lindor is the reason for me why the Mets are who they are. He was worth that. $275 million sounds quaint now.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, only that, and he's just a breath of fresh air for that team. And when he plays with the Mets play, they are a better team. They play better with him. And that is the mark of him, Aaron Judge.
Right.
Like Ohtani. There's multiple other players like that just they lift the team. When they're there, you can tell there's a noticeable difference. Even if they're not playing their best, the team rallies around them, and I enjoy that. And that's what it is for me with Lindor. And to a lesser extent, Alonso, but he's part of it. I love that he's playing for a contract, and the Mets better not be stupid. Look, he's proven it. He can play.
I think it's going to be. I don't know if you want to go 7, 5 to 200, 2 and change, maybe. Brings him up to 40 million.
How old is he?
20.
Is he 28, 29?
No, less. I think.
All contracts with me get weird if near the end of the contract they're in their mid to late 30s. Because at that point, you're paying for. In rare instances, you're paying for a land of diminishing returns. And so I know what you're paying for. You're paying for them now, but those contracts end up hurting you later.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We'll see. But before we go, there is a picture to bring up. Michael K. He's with Aaron Boone. If you have that picture, not that one. There should be another picture, and I can't see myself. But
calm down. It's coming. Calm down.
But
it's not coming.
It's a picture that tells 1,000 words. If you see it, Mo, it's Aaron Boone and Michael K. together.
K's Met fans. No.
One that says Yankees on it. Anyway, this is great dead air here. Let's keep.
But Blue failed it.
Oh well, it doesn't matter. There's
it kind of sounds like it matters, Mike.
There's a picture of Kay with in the dugout with Aaron Boone.
Okay,
and that tells you everything of why the whole Soto thing started because of Kay.
Oh well, then fill it in for us since you didn't have the photo. Why did it start?
No, it's. When have you seen a head of a broadcasting team in the dugout while Boone is having his, before the game press conference with the rest of the media? Why is Kay there?
I don't know. I was interested more in how he went off on Mets fans. That interested me more.
No, that's what I'm saying. Because that picture tells you as if you're going to be a broadcaster, you shouldn't be doing that. Stay in the booth. Don't go into the. You'll never see Gary, Keith, or any other broadcaster in the dugout while there's
Keith he shills for the Yankees. You know, I mean, like it's obvious he's been caught out multiple.
And for him to get that
Stop.
angry,
How many announcers, shill for their teams? A lot.
There's being an announcer and being objective and rooting. So take like Keith Hernandez. Okay, he roots for the Mets. He is a Met through and through, and he still criticizes the team when he has to.
right?
I remember there was it was a Boston Red Sox game, and I forget who was pitching, but so apparently this guy throws like a lot of sinkers. This is a while ago, and so they go to the batter's box, and you see them. They tamp down the batter's box harder so that the ball, when it hits the ground, bounces up higher to the catcher. And Kay went bananas. This is like, tampering with the game because it actually helped out the Red Sox during that. And I forgot the announcer that was next to him. Nah, they did that for all teams do that. It's like it's all part of the game. Just learn to do it. Like they shut Kay down all the time. He's always been like that, And I just didn't like. He went off on Mets fans like, hey, look, I get it. You're jealous that Juan Soto did not want to play on your team. Okay. You offered him more than the Mets, and he clearly didn't want to play there. Fine. Wish him well. He went to the World Series with you. You didn't win it, but okay.
But if he's to have that strong opinion, he should go back to writing, like Phil Mushnick.
Yeah,
with all that.
I don't have so much of a problem that he has these strong opinions and he feels comfortable being in that element. It's just
he's turning a little too Francesa-y for me.
Yeah, I could say that. Yeah, I agree. If that's where you're going with it, Mike, then I agree with that.
Yeah, but don't bring it into the game. If keep your sports show opinions on the show and your game, don't mix. Because I don't. If let's say Francesa was the Yankee announcer, I don't think he would do that in the booth. Even though you might think, I don't think he.
Probably why Chris Russo got sick of him. But the whole idea, I don't mind opinions, and I don't mind having strong opinions. But like some of the stuff he does seems a bit unhinged, I guess now. Like it's like, why? Like it's going all the way back to how we started our little conversation today. Why did Simone Biles have to say that? It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
Why does Michael Kay have to go off on Met fans because like we took his special toy away?
Right.
Basically, it's not all about you. And the like once again we were talking about parity. This is dovetailing nicely. That the Yankees don't sign everybody anymore. They're not the biggest thing in the world anymore.
The Dodgers.
But it shows in the fact that they won in last time they won is 08, But I mean, like, at least they won. But I mean, they won in 08 and they're in the playoffs, but they're not the same type of dominance that they used to be.
Right.
And maybe there's for Kay, who's a little older, maybe for him, this is something that bothers him as he gets older, that the Yankees aren't like the top dog team all the time, every day. Could be. I'm just guessing. I'm not going to psychoanalyze anybody, but could be. But
great way to end.
Yeah, great way to end. Another banger, Mike. Thank you for having us on. Mo, thank you for joining us from multiple locations. Blue, thank you for everything as well. So signing off from this is Sports Beat with Fredericks and Freed
from
Technical Support Studios in lovely downtown Phillipsburg. Sunny days. Everybody have a great day.
And happy Father's Day to all the dads.